I don't believe I'm gonna die from spitting on a piece of ice. I don't believe I'm gonna die because I got a bad heart. I don't believe I'm gonna die because of lung cancer. I believe that I'm going to be able to die what I was just the thing that I was born for. I believe that I'm going to be able to die high off the people. I believe that I will be able to die as a revolutionary in the international revolutionary folk struggle.
I believe that the white man has done a great injustice to the black man in this country by having kidnapped our people and brought us here and down to the level that we're on today. And today, instead of approaching the factors that their original mistake has created, instead of approaching these factors objectively and realistically, the greatest sin that they're doing now is trying to pretend that they never committed a crime, that they never did any wrong. And when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out the injustices that our people are suffering, they make that sin worse by accusing him of teaching hate, or by accusing him of black supremacy, or by accusing him of advocating violence, simply because he is pointing out the real factors in the problem.
We have a little time left. You don't have to hurry so much, Malcolm.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath.
Let's see what's on TV.
As the king's brother, you should have been first in line.
Well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born.
That hairball is my son.
Is that what you were trying to get for?
Trying to get.
You bite the fry bites back, my man. Damn, crispy crunch.
Let me put my mind on something that'll motivate me to manifest.
What's happening, everybody? You are back watching the Corner Show with me, Higher Thinking, on the Chicago Black Delegation YouTube channel. And we got a little bit of a random one going on today. It's my off day from my 9 to 5, so I decided to hop online and say what's happening to everybody. And for the most part, it's not really going to be a real showy show today. It's just going to be me kind of getting some stuff off my chest politically, and then doing a little bit of research into the Democratic Party. This is going to be a lot of preliminary type of conversation or type of studies to do with my upcoming video I'm going to have. I'm like fresh out of a conversation with a very intelligent YouTuber by the name of Fanatic. And we had a very heated conversation regarding the Democratic Party. So I want to put more effort into my research regarding that. It's like sometimes, I just find out information. I hear information, I hear the hearsay, and then I go and like look into it, and I'll have like a surface level understanding of the situation, right? But how do I put this? And I'll settle on that sometimes. So here I want to do like more of a deep dive, go down a rabbit hole or two regarding the or not necessarily just the Democratic Party, but like specific administrations, if you will. Because like I said, the big argument here is the Democratic Party has not done anything for black people, and so what I'm gathering is, I guess I had a misunderstanding of the talking point end of itself. There seems to be individuals that want intendancy regarding what they do for black people. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I thought people would be cool with just be cool with just being able to benefit from the decisions of the government. But like apparently we want a specific like an intended purposes. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like it's concerning. You know what I'm saying? I think that is quite the steep hill to climb, if you will. And I get kind of worried about I kind of get worried about the potential downturns or problems that can befall that can come from that sort of perspective. Because like I said, from my understanding of things, we got two political parties. We have two primary political parties, right? It's just two. We have libertarian parties. We have Green Party. We got birthday parties, right? We have a lot of different parties right here, but there's only two viable options, unfortunately. And unlike the UK, where they have not just multiple parties, but they have a system of governance or a system of voting that capitulates, that appeases to that, because it's not just we have Democrats and Republicans, right? It's the fact that there's actual meaning behind registering as a Democrat, registering as a Republican. That means you're able to vote during the primaries, and that means you have a voice as far as who makes the decisions. I'm sorry, that gives you a voice as far as who you want to represent the Democratic Party in the general election. Now, if you are a person that's not registered, if you're registered independent, or rather, I'm gonna look into that actually. If you're not registered Democrat, you won't be able to vote in Democratic primaries. So, which means that whatever you get in during the general election is just what you're gonna have to deal with. You feel me? And I think that's just been like the primary problem amongst Black Americans in this whole last 60-ish years as a whole. we have not gotten anything for our vote in 60 years is what the argument is. And my argument is counter to that, that there is things that we've gotten, and but apparently due to like this higher bar that I'm recently being made aware of, apparently it's not just that we benefit from or we get something out of being out of voting for Democrats. It is the fact that we need to be, man, what would you even call this? We need to be primarily focused on, essentially. So that's gonna be, that's just gonna be interesting to think about. I think what's required for that is, and this is off the top of my head, but what's required to be like the primary focus of all of government, to the point where where the majority of the House of Representatives, majority of the state senators, hell, majority of the bill crafters, lawyers, everybody that, you're a community, you know what I'm saying? Everybody is going to have to like the thing that you're putting forth, you know what I'm saying? And from the look of things, again, the only things I can kind of think of, the only thing that can make that a reality is if, one, you got a shit ton of money, and it's because with that money you can buy a shit ton of influence, and I won't name the group that uses that, right? But also population, strong population, and white Americans just made that strong. They have that population down perfectly. You know what I'm saying? So in order to have a larger input as far as politics, one man, one vote, one person, one vote. What are we talking about here? You have to. It's gonna require It's gonna require a lot of people to be about what you're about. And with us being 14% of the population, I don't know, some people will argue against that. It's going to be hard I don't see it happening off of our numbers alone. Okay. So what does that mean? What does that mean if we cannot get 14% of the population to capitulate to, if we can't get the government to bend to the whim of 14% of the population? And I know that different people have different solutions, some people say we got to buy politicians. Other people say we got to end we got to strip away the abortion stuff. And so we can have so we can make more babies and stuff like that. The bunch of these things have downturns and problems. I think the most active Democrats right now that are aligned with blackness, so primarily, I would argue to say that are black. We'll go with this. I know that there might be 10 people out there that are actually pro-black. You know what I'm saying? There might be, and so I'll just say pro-blacks instead of just black people. So for those pro-blacks that's out there, the only way we can actually make that happen, I don't know how to really say this. We have to get more allies, and I know it's typical. The first response is they know such thing as allies for us, Hold on a second. Let me make sure. Let me know if my audio is okay, everybody. If my audio is good, put a 1 in the chat. If my audio is good, I appreciate that. But going back to what I was saying, it's for the individuals that are actively pro-black, it's gonna be required that we gain more allies, like those non-black pro-blacks, right? Again, I think there's probably 10 or 15 of them out there in an entire nation, but in order for us to start getting legislation that are primarily benefiting American freedmen, it's going to require us to get more allies, more pro-blacks that are not black, right? And I heard a bunch, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. You know what I'm saying? Amazing Lucas has some crazy opinions about that, how to make that happen. I want to go over some of those, some of my arguments, if you will. But again, those that are actually out there making it happen are making those allies. You know what I'm saying? And how that's essentially is done when you only have your identity to like kind of leverage against in the system is to kind of form coalition groups with other with other marginalized groups, but not necessarily non-white, not necessarily. Not to say that a white person can be marginalized. It kind of depends. It's dependent on their life paths and stuff like that. So even though that's obviously a much different conversation, I guess like an argument would be like trans folks. Like trans folks will argue that they're marginalized. But the typical counter response to that is, well, y'all, you can take off your outfit anytime. You can adjust yourself to your sex at any time. You know what I'm saying? So you can take off like your oppression. In other words, you can dress out of your oppression. American freemen cannot do that. And other than that, marginalized groups rooted in their ethnicity or nationality cannot cannot dress themselves up. So what those other groups do is they assimilate to the standard, the American standard. You know what I'm saying? And there's some blacks that do it as well. We have names for those people. So again, I put a one in the chat if my audio is good. I'm not seeing no ones in the chat. So let me see. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything until I know this audio is good because I have to restart. I have to say everything all over again. Let me see. Mic check, mic check. Okay, okay, y'all see the one. I appreciate you, brother. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, coalition groups. So again, what's actually happening right now is, again, coalition groups that's being formed. And I know like a lot of people try to say there's no coalition between blacks, there's no coalition between blacks and browns. And I definitely understand that from rooted in people's individual perspectives. Like, I get that. If you went your whole life not seeing a black and a brown person in one room, genuinely happy with each other and meeting the standards, or I'm sorry, voting for each other's interests when it matters most, then I understand that. But like here in Chicago, I can show you the Brandon Johnson administration right now and how diverse it is. There are brown people in that in this coalition group. There's whites. There's a bunch of different people. Because like again, in real politics, in real world politics, these we make things happen that benefit each other by meeting each other in the middle. You know what I'm saying? We may not, we as black people may not get everything we want, but when we make allyships or we make coalition groups with other people, we can at least get some of that to at least buy us some time in this whole thing. One of the quotes that we hear a lot is black folks is gonna reach a wealth share of 0% by the year 2053, and that's pretty much looking at contrary to the whole argument point of we have $1.8 trillion spending, contrary to that understanding, we still are gonna hit rock bottom by 2053 in terms of wealth, all right, and wealth distribution. And that is unfortunate, and it's probably it's a lot to do with we can say that it's some things to do with the way we spend money, sure, but it's a larger point to do with systemic oppression and essentially like the conditions that we are in, the whole the problem of which governmental administrations not meeting meeting the demands of the oligarchs and not putting any sort of like real redress towards smaller businesses, especially those that are owned by American freemen. So that's a concern 1,000%. But it's like I said, the only people that's, again, I don't know what to tell people, to do nothing to just deal with the absolute nothingness. I'm sorry, to make the appealment to political apathy is what some is going to say is going to lead to a situation where there's no where the Democrats will get behind us as a whole. I'm just saying there's very much so man, I don't know what to say. There's also going to be very much so a potential for Democrats to just give up on us as a voting bloc altogether, and then just appeal to the other broad groups that they've been putting a lot like a strong focus on up to this point. I think it's very problematic that to take on the one issue voter strategy. I don't think that's gonna. I truly don't think that's just gonna help us at all. To say that we look at politics in a black and white manner, as in, do this person support reparations or not, and let that be like the defining reason if we are going to vote for them or not. It's just, you're ignoring too much. You're ignoring entirely too much to do with politics, and you're ignoring the potential of your future. Because my thing is like, there's a potential that it may not work. There's a potential that it might not work, and what's going to become of that is a mass we'll put it this way. I'm not gonna say, okay, there's still going to be some level of what's the word? Populism, right? And government subsidies, handouts, and humanitarian efforts, right? That not to say that's going to disappear if black people as a whole stop voting, but my thing is we're not gonna, our demands are not going to be met. You know what I'm saying? If we don't engage in politics whatsoever. I think I'm with the understanding that we need to vote in individuals that make sense. To vote in individuals that support our agendas. And if they don't do that, if they lie, we are to vote them out. Like it's supposed to be a consistent political engagement. We have to constantly engage in politics, and it cannot cease. You know what I mean? And if it does not, and if it does cease, if we move out, if we dip out of politics all the way, yes, 1,000%. There could be some individual, there could be some politicians that go like, okay, you know what? Let's try to meet it. Let's try to put this reparations in focus, and let's make it happen. I think I mean, it just so happens that the most loudest voices in terms of that is just been the Black Caucus. You know what I'm saying? The Ayanna Prestes, I believe. What's that woman's name? Jasmine Crockett, Al Green. It's like it's only been those individuals that has been pushing HR 40 forward, and even then, some of us don't agree with like HR 40. That's a whole other conversation. But again, I don't like those odds. I don't like the odds of only a select amount of Democrats capitulating to the demands of Democrats, or else they're not going to receive votes at all. Now that I kind of think about it, oh my goodness! Now that I kind of think about it, like Senate and House seats that don't have a strong, oh my God, I just realized something. I just like Senate seats and House seats of the Democrats, of the Democrat flavor, of the Democrat side. There are people that got in those positions without the black vote. You know what I'm saying? We watched Jasmine Crockett like lose because I want to say about 60% of the Texas black population didn't vote for her. You know, they didn't vote or did not vote for her. And that's how Tallarico won. And I'm not necessarily against Tallarico. I'm just saying. Ooh, excuse me. I'm not necessarily against Tallarico. I'm just saying. I'm just saying she could have won had that not been had that Democrat side, that Democrat district all like got on code and stood on 10 about getting Jasmine into office. And not to minimize their reasons for not doing so. Maybe some of those people have like some legitimate reasons, but I just have never ran into any of those arguments. But what I'm gonna say is, if each of these seats, and I think it's gonna primarily be dictated on. My research is gonna be primarily dictated on every individual seat and looking at the district that they are in and understanding the demographic, the racial demographic of those individual districts. So this is what that's gonna look like. Say I ran for office in Chicago. However, and I'm trying to campaign and all that stuff. I'm trying to get, and I say, I got reparations at the top of the ticket. That's the main thing I want to push as a senator or whatever. The black vote is gonna be about it, but let's say there's a bunch of racists within my district that I'm representing, and there's just not enough black people that there's not enough black people to make sure to drown out the influence of the white voters, or the non-black voters is what I really mean to say. Well, what do we think is gonna happen from that? I'm not gonna win. If so, the right thing to do is, okay, I want reparations on the agenda, but what else do the other voters want? What do the white population want? What do the Latino population want? What does the rich people want? Right? What do the lower class want? Like, there's so many different groups and identities that you have to hear out and make some sort of concession with in order to win favor and within that district. Because the main thing in politics is the House seats and the Senate seats. That's like the population density within those confines is the important part, and it's more detailed than just if they're blue or are they red, right? If they're conservative or if they're liberal. The nucleus of politics is the policy itself, right? And then, that's the most important thing amongst any of these politicians. What are the policies they support, and then at what priority? How do they prioritize those lists of policies? That's what everybody needs to understand about politics. It's not about blue versus red. It was never about that. I'm sorry, but anybody that reduces the conversation to blue versus red is not fully engaged with politics for real. You have to know, as an individual voter, as an individual citizen in America, a viable, registered voter, right? Legal registered voter. You have to know what all you identify as. And it's not just you being black. It's not just you being white, right? It's not about anything that's not your nationality. It's not just any of those things. It's all of them all at once. I am an American freeman. I am a resident of Chicago. I claim Hebrew Israelite. I am a blue collar worker. I attend school. I do a lot of things, and everything that can be influenced by politics, I have to be mindful of all those individual things, right? So if I'm going to be a one-issue voter, that means I'm waiting on reparations to save my life, and I'm not one of those people. And that's like the thing that white racists try to push make fun of us over, and that's just not. It's just not true. Again, if you can be anything in this world, in this country, and if there is a politician that can push a dollar in a direction to make your life easier, it sounds like you're not a one issue voter. And if you care about that, rather, that makes you not a one issue voter. So like that's like some things we have to like have understood first in order to like in order to engage with politics. But it's like to reduce it to just blue versus red or Democrat versus Republican or even liberal versus conservative. Like I'll even be nice to the conservatives in that matter. We won't be able to get anywhere as a population to any of these identities, but especially American freedmen. If we don't fully engage, if we're not fully engaged in the politics. So going back to, just kind of help flesh this out a bit. We got to be elected as politicians. I mean, we have to get the policies that. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to go back to where I was starting. Again, we as individuals need to understand ourselves. We have to identify with everything we identify with. Understand how it commingles and weaves itself into politics, into government. Right. From there, we have to. How do I put this? We have to. We have to have the understanding of what are within ourselves, and we have to figure out which things that we care so much about that we want to see a change in. Okay. And then from there, we have to come up with I would say write those things down. Sure, whatever. And you can call it a demand, if you will. So then when the politician rolls around, you have something to say, hey, I as an individual care about this, that, and the third. For me, it been reparations at the top of the ticket. But that politician's look is going to be like, okay, what else do you care about? And I'll have to tell them, you know what I'm saying? And once me and that politician have that understanding, I'll have a decision to make. When that politician runs for office, runs for in the primary ticket. Let me backtrack. Let's say I had this conversation with this politician, right? And then another politician rolls around. Same political. Actually, the political affiliation doesn't even matter. Okay, it doesn't. It literally. No, it does matter. I'm sorry, I'm lying. It does matter. I'm a registered Democrat, right? And I'm a registered Democrat, and then three Democrat politicians approach me at different points, stages or points in my life, and I have a conversation with all three, have the exact same conversation with all three, and they'll say, okay, cool, I'll see if I can make it happen. So once they have that understanding, and I watch them, then I watch their campaigns, and then they make their campaign promises. Let's say the first dude meets three of my demands as a voter of 5. 3 out of 5 of my demands. The second politician meets 2 of my demands out of 5. The last Democratic politician meets one of my demands out of 5. And it's up to me to go to the primary, right, and vote for the person that best aligns with my ideals, best aligns with me, how I identify, and the things that I care about. Again, going back to that list of demands, right? And from the sound of things, it sounds like the guy that meets 3 of those 5 demands is my guy, right? So it will make sense to vote for him. However, let's say he does not meet the reparations standard. He's not gonna give me reparations, but he's gonna give me like 3 of the other things that I want. Am I gonna just throw that away and then let the other guys win? Or am I gonna just be like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just, you give me 3 of the 5 things, we'll ride with that this time. In my opinion, we have to go with the politician that best meets our needs, that best meets our wants and needs, right? And all of this is before even factoring in empathy, right? Do we care about the next person? That's all of that aside. But so we're in the primary, and then it turned to found out that when I vote for the person that I want to vote in, he actually wins. He wins. And when he wins, he goes on to face against in the general election. Now I'm still mad that he is not putting reparations in the ticket in his campaign promises, right? But the Republican guy he actually not, how do I put this? Not only is he not meeting my either of the 5 standards that I have, he's going so far as to doing the exact opposite of my 5 demands. Okay, so am I gonna let the Republican win because the Democrat is not meeting my my demand for reparations? We all gonna have to make the decision for ourselves to do that. I just want to lay out the potentials. I'm going to be laying out like the potential outcome of both. Okay. Say that Democrat win, and he goes to the what's the name? He goes to Congress, and he argues down why we need those 3 things that I want, right? But he doesn't succeed, right? There's gonna be a lot of people that say Democrats don't do anything for us, and I'm like, is it that the Democrats don't do anything for us, or is it the Republicans that are actually working against everything that the Democrats are pushing forth? HR 40 didn't pass just because Democrats aren't supporting it, right? It was not passed because it didn't even hit the voting. It's still in the commissions, but everything you can kind of think of regarding like the access or ease of life for Black American or American freedmen, all of those things it's a mix of Democrat support and Republican support. Okay, and if our politician can't make it happen, it just doesn't make sense for me to actually watch him fight and vote in favor of the 3 things that I desired. Okay, it makes sense that I continue to support that individual politician, even though I didn't get what I wanted passed yet, because I see him fighting. I see him fighting every day. Every day I see him. Every day I see him on C-SPAN. He's fighting. There's just individuals in another party that are actually working against what I want from my politician. Hell, there's even individuals within my own political party, that I'm registered under, that are actively against the things the 3 demands that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? But if in the event that we finally get enough people that are just like that politician that I voted in, and to enough somebody that we actually passed the bill, that means I saw it out from beginning to the end. I watched the politician I engaged with the politician. I voted him in the primary. I voted him in the general election, and I am continue to support him as he's fighting in Congress or the Senate. In Congress, and what am I getting at? And I watched him and many others support my demands to the point where we actually passed. Okay, didn't get reparations. I get it. That's tough, but I'm still happy that my demands have still been met. And you know what? When we ask him, and I'll call him up like, hey, I appreciate you getting my agenda passed. I'm glad that we have a politician that represents my district that how do I put this? I'm glad we have somebody in Congress that meets that's working for the people, that is truly representative of the district citizens that he represents over, right? Whatever. how do I put this? And then he'll tell me, oh yeah, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of fighting, but yeah, we made it happen. And I'll ask him, how did you get it? How did you make it happen? Like, how did you do it? Like, what did you do? He said, oh, well, you know what? I made a lot of friends. I shook a lot of hands. I made deals. I voted on things that don't necessarily benefit me particularly, maybe not necessarily, maybe even our district, but I was able to get what you wanted to pass because I scratched their back and then they scratched my back. Or I promised to scratch their back after they scratched my back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this, it's willing and dealing, man. It's a lot of negotiating. It's a lot like politics and debate, all of this stuff. It's super duper nuanced. So much going on, so much happening. Then you just resorting it down to, okay, blue versus red. It strongly depends on who has fought the hardest for American freedom, right? And if they haven't fought enough, if they have not fought enough, how do we solve that? How do we solve for that? And I have answers for that. I have a solution for that as well. So let's backtrack now. And we're gonna just kind of work backwards a little bit, but just kind of remember, just kind of work with me here. In a parallel universe where I did not vote for that man in the general election, what's gonna happen? He's not gonna win. The Republic's gonna win, and then he is gonna enter that office and then pitch his ideas that will argue the other Republicans and maybe other Democrats as well to support an agenda that benefits what he wants to support, to not support the agendas that I want to see happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just, so I don't just not get reparations, okay? But I also don't get the 3 things that I wanted, but also I get the exact opposite of the 5 demands that I asked for. Or at the very least, if it doesn't necessarily happen, that person that I let slide past, he's fighting for all of those things. He's fighting for the exact opposite of my list of demands. So the list of demands is fine as an individual, sure, whatever. You still gotta like engage in this stuff with like severe, like serious critical thought. Okay. Now, we talked about what happens if we don't vote for the general election. Now, let's say we don't vote for the what's the name? The during the primary election. Okay. If we don't vote for the people that meet our list of demands that we thought long and hard about, as in if we didn't even engage with them even, but much less if I didn't vote during the primary election, the person, there is a potential, okay, that I'm not saying my vote is going to be like the one that's going to change the whole, thing or whatever, but it's not, that's why it's not just about us voting as individuals. It's also about engaging like with political discourse in our community, so we get more people on board about voting for the people that support my 5 items, right? So you know what? So let me kind of go backtrack a little bit. So the politician me and the politician will make an agreement. I say, meet these 3 things and I'll vote for you. The politician will meet that with, okay, I'll do the best I can with these 3 things, but please have conversations with your community members, with your family, with your coworkers, etc., about voting for me. And I'm gonna give these 3 things to you that will benefit all of the people that you are representing right now. Like when you speak to a politician, you are speaking for everybody that you engage with at all, if you will. And so yeah, even like whether you like it or not, like you, if you, so with that said, you go off and tell your friends, hey, vote for this guy, vote for the first guy that makes that meets 3 of my needs, and then all will be good in the hood, whatever. If he does, if they do that, yeah, there's a higher potential, to get that, for that dude to win. It obviously depends on how many people you turn over, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. So, 1 second, my bad. Trying to bring the chat back up in front of me. I don't want to miss nothing. Okay. Oh yeah. Sibber says you you cannot ally with anti-black. That's 1,000%. I'm gonna address that in a bit too. But yeah. So like I said, like I said, going back to, so again, keep in mind that it's not just you voting for the people, it's the people you've convinced to vote for that person also. So that, again, that brings the higher likelihood of, us voting, that person into succession, whatever. I think we all can agree on that. Now with that said, if I were to not vote at all, if I don't engage in civil discourse with the people that I engage with all the time, if that would bring a higher likelihood again of the guy that will meet one of my demands, that would increase the likelihood of him winning. Okay, so he'll get in office, and let's say best case scenario, he gets that one thing passed, and he fights tooth and nail to stop the other guys from enacting the exact opposite of my 5 listed demands. So you're at least getting a sort of defensive mechanism. You're at least getting some defensive maneuvering regarding. I lost my train of thought. We at least get some defensive maneuvering regarding the 4 other items that I wanted to see happen, and we got one thing done out of 5. Not the best, but you know what? I didn't engage politics enough anyway. So who am I to complain if I didn't even really try that hard to be? I didn't even vote for the guy, and I still got something out of the deal. That's actually a W, right? Now, but again, so that's essentially what's kind of happening in politics right now. And instead of people like understanding politics to this capacity, we aren't even. How it's really say this. We are not even voting in the primaries, and we are complaining about what the Democrats are not doing. And it's just baffling to me, because what other groups are doing are, as in actually paying attention to politics, as in like just winning because they're voting as a block. And I mean, and I'm not talking about just voting as a block. I'm talking about they've organized and voted as a block. Black people vote in a bulky block. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the 92%. However, it's just not all of us, right? But not to say that other groups all vote one way. That's not a reality either. Obviously, it's not a reality either. But I'm just saying the likelihood of success increases the more people you have on your side. So if black people, again, organized, as in understood everything I just parlayed to you right now, if we organized, which again, education, and then a course of action, a cause to action, and then voted, right? We have a complete understanding of why we want why we prioritize the policies that we vouch for, and in the order that we organized it. If we do this as a large group of people, our success rate goes up tenfold. Okay, political success goes up tenfold. But again, not voting at all is gonna cause for bigger concerns. So that's essentially I want to say still a very general, right, but still more detailed and more nuanced approach to engage understanding politics. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this is pretty much gonna be like the core of my argument. Following up and stuff like that. I'm not just talking about today, but like in the future as well. This is pretty much people need to understand. This is how you successfully win this game of politics. So let me just do it this way too. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think about my next step here, because I almost want to draw it. I want to use this whiteboard so bad, but you know what? That's not important. I'll probably just do it. I'll probably make that like a separate video or something like that. But all of that aside, I'm not saying black people don't have the right to complain. What I'm gonna say is it's better to know what exactly that we're talking about before we complain. So so my thing is when people say we voted for Democrat for the past 60 years and got nothing, I hate to say it, but other groups have done more to get what they want out of politics. Let's take another identifier as an example. Let's take the oligarchy, right? The oligarchs have been instrumental in the shaping of our government for an extremely long time. Why? Because they don't even just vote as a block. They donate as a block. They donate a crap ton of money as a block, right? There's a reason why these PACs have limitations, have like caps and stuff like that. It's because to stop people from overly investing into like a political a politician's campaign, giving them like a severe advantage. Now there is concerns of like, you know, some backdoor type of dealings and stuff like that. Like there's a potential for that, but I guess that's neither here nor there. But I understand there is a possibility for people to buy some crypto, you know what I'm saying, and then throw it at a guy that they like the most. Well, then again, hold on. Why, am I right about that? Well, that's just for the PACs. I don't think. Well, let me look that up real quick. Is there limitations for individual? I don't think there's a limitation for individual donations. Let me check. Why? Okay, so why are there limitations on donation to PACs, but not? Hold on. Why are there limitations on donations from? Okay, we'll see what it says. But why are there limitations on donations to PACs, but not individuals? Let's say individual citizens. Individual voters. I'm gonna do the shortcut and just say AI mode. There is no. Yeah, I'm only getting results. That's God. Wow. There's nobody ever asked this question before. Okay, money 101. Money and politics 101. Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm looking at. Okay. Money and Politics 101. What you need to know about campaign finance after Citizens United. Reports in the 2012 election. I'm not going to read all of this, but let me see. There are a lot of stories. Well, let me just read the opener then. Reports on the 2012 election focus as much as the role of big money as do on the latest polls. One can't read a newspaper without seeing a story on the outsized role of super PACs or the record-breaking amounts of spent by secretive nonprofits. Okay, hardly an hour passes on the cable news network without a report on whether Mitt Romney or Barack Obama has more money in the bank. While there's no shortage of reporting on the latest fundraising totals, it's a lot harder to find any straightforward explanations of how the current campaign finance system works. Okay. To help make sense of the current campaign finance system and how it came to resemble in the Wild West, keyword that Wild West, here are some answers to frequently asked questions. Okay. There are a lot of stories about limited political spending and $1 million donations. There aren't limits on the size of political contributions, ? To understand contribution limits, one has to understand that the different limits apply depending on who is giving and who is receiving the contributions. Okay. And then it goes into like into like a supporting argument. I don't need the I'll just take them at face value there because I don't want to make this whole stream about just this. Is there more outside spending this year than previous years? What about these super PACs? What are they and where do they come from? So Citizens United is responsible for super PACs. Is Citizens United responsible for high level and outside spending this year? Okay, so anybody that wants to read more into this, I'm gonna put it in the chat. But I don't have. I'm not gonna go through all this right now. I kind of am pressed for time. It's already 3:00, and I definitely have things I got to attend to. But what I'm gonna say is, when like I said, when we have these individuals, when we have these conglomerates of oligarchs or billionaire class individuals all supporting one politician, monetarily, that obviously brings a lot of potential for higher likelihoods of success for that individual politician. Now, I do believe there's definitely been some politicians that are considered like economically a underdog and still managed to win. But that's just entirely to do with like the messaging and I guess the ability to capitulate to the demands or the needs and wants of the individuals that voted for him. You know what I'm saying? Again, the non-one issue voters. Now, because the oligarch class have been so as invested into politics as they have been, they have representatives on both sides of the political aisle. They have people that will fight tooth and nail to keep good old capitalism, afloat. You know what I'm saying? They may have more stronger supporters amongst certain, and I'm speaking aggressively, broad and generic here, but yeah, they'll have individuals within the, let's say, Republican Party that are more eager to meet their demands, and then they'll still have those individuals that are still willing to argue against the actual opposite. You know what I'm saying? Let's say access of water. You have politician A that says, "Hey, let's give this resource to the billionaire class," and then you have the non-aggression approach as far as that resource remaining where it is and not being touched whatsoever, or you have the opposite end where they're saying, "Hey, let's give this resource let's socialize this resource. Let's give it to everybody." You know what I'm saying? How do I put this? So when you have more leverage on one end, it's gonna cause a situation where more individual politicians are gonna agree to give that resource to the party that put in that invested the most. Again, that's how the oligarch class has remained so politically relevant this entire time. Where to go from here? So, with that stated, when this continues, it can lead to dragging and the I guess the political over to the window from a healthy center to more towards the class that is putting in the most investment or gaining or not the political investment, and which is not limited to finance, mind you. It's also advocacy, like such as the celebrities and stuff like that. How they always say, "Hey, vote for vote for whoever they say to vote for." Put it that way. My thing is like, and about real quick thing about celebrities. I personally don't take serious any celebrity that has to be paid to endorse a politician. I mean, unless they're only accommodating for travel and maybe food, maybe some food, but accommodating for travel and some hospital, and a apartment. I'm not in a hotel accommodations, things of that nature. If those things are being met, okay, sure, fine. But people just getting paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, that's not a real endorsement in my eyes. That's them being paid to say some ish, right? But that aside, if we as individuals that are not leveraging our economics to vote in our politicians into office, shit, man. If we don't do that, then everybody else is gonna win. Everybody else is gonna everybody else is gonna get their needs met. Okay. And that's where we're at right now. That's the reason. That is why the Democratic Party has not done anything specifically for American freedmen in the last 60 years. I wanted to say it has something to do with like the 14th Amendment and how it's worded, because it allows for, it means that, we can't create legislation that's rooted in race. But I think people, how do I put this? How do I put this? But I'm gonna say it like this. Even that won't be an excuse for anybody not to meet the demands of American freedmen due to the American free world. I mean, black people can simply just identify by a different identity. You know what I'm trying to say? That's the way that's not why, but I'm just saying in the real world, they'll say like, okay, I'm ADOS. I'm not black. I'm ADOS, or I'm FBA, right? I don't lump sum me with all these other groups in America. I am a very specific of a very specific lineage, and this is whom I actually represent. So that becomes a heritage based claim instead of a race based, right? So so that no longer is a problem. Oh, I'm sorry, the 14th Amendment is no longer a problem in in that. So I'm gonna say this. So in case anybody tries to say, okay, the 14th Amendment makes it so that we can't give restitution for individuals that are of a specific race, all you gotta do is say, okay, well, this is not about me being black. It's about me being a descendant of emancipated persons from American chattel slavery. Sure, but still, be just claiming FBA, right? Just claiming a heritage-based identity is not gonna be the solution to your problems in politics. What's actually going to be required for you to win in this political game is strong political advocacy. And if you cannot meet the money marker, if you cannot meet the money that the oligarchs put in, you have to find equal, if not equivalent, alternative is what I'm trying to say. If you can't meet them with money, you have to meet them with, well, what's actually more important than money in this situation? Actual individual voters. It's just that those individual voters need to have the needs of the people at the top of the ticket. And that's just for humanity. That's just like the socialist Marxist type of take on this. If you want to be a black person, if you want to vote as a one issue voting FBA, then you need to understand, how do I put this? Then you need to understand this is going to be what's required to win, for you to win, for you to get reparations at least from the federal government. So adding all of this, trying to say that the Democrats have not done anything for us, because I'm sorry, after the 6, I'm sorry. Just saying that Democrats have not done anything for us in the past 60 years of us voting is just too. I guess it's a very loaded statement, and it's lacking a lot of nuance, because off the jump, voting is not enough. Voting for the right politician is not. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, hell, majority of us only vote in the. The majority of us that vote only vote during the general elections in general, period. And I already walked y'all down as far as why it's important to vote during the primary elections. If we're only voting during the general election, if we're only voting Democrat during the general election, that sounds like it's an executional error. You know what I'm saying? If I can give like an example to this. If I can give an example of this, let's say we're playing a sport. If I'm going to say I've been playing basketball for 60 years and I didn't win the championship, whose fault is that? Is it like the team's fault, or is it the fact that I'm not good enough? That I'm not good enough? And what does it mean to be good in whatever sport we're playing? Right? It's primarily dictated on what sport it is. Right? That means we have to practice. We have to know that sport inside and out. Like basketball in and of itself, there's strategy regarding this strategy. I like boxing better. In boxing, there's strategy to every step you take in boxing. They call the sweet science is what they call it. There's a reason for it, the way every punch is thrown, every step that you take, the grabs, the water, like everything is like the exercise you have to perform beforehand. There's so much going into boxing that makes a successful boxer. When you have the conversation of black people, if one person can represent all of black people, and we ask them, okay, I understand what you mean by we voted Democrat down, we voted Democrat for like down, we'll even go and say down ticket, for the past 60 years. What is like, how do I put this? Yeah, let me ask it this way. If we have one person that can represent the American Freedmen delineation, subgroup of human beings, right? We were to ask them, what have you done to win in politics? Much like we will ask the question the boxer, much like we will ask of the boxer, what did you do to win a game of a fight in boxing? He will tell you. And you ask him to be as detailed as possible. He'll go like, "Oh, I exercised. I exercised. I conditioned. I sparred. I put up the money for the equipment. I had friends. I had a support system. I mean, what else? I'm not a official boxer, but." There's so many things that go into boxing, right? If I were to ask an American freedman, hey, what did you do to win at this political game? And you said, oh, I voted blue. I voted blue no matter who. That's it? Compare that to what the oligarch class did. Compare that to what white folk did. Compare that to Native Americans. Compare that to other groups, and then measure out the success of all those individual groups, and then lay that and measure that against where we are politically. Okay, compare that to our outcomes in politics. If all we did was vote down ticket, whereas everybody else did so much other things than we did, and even if then we should kind of have a general understanding that, okay, maybe voting down ballot is not the end all be all. Especially knowing that how other groups kind of like just took stuff over right from under our nose is because they voted as a block and they had influence. And if they didn't have enough influence in the social arena, they supplemented in finances. This is pretty much politics, like 101 kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's not politics 101, but this is like this is about as detailed as you need to be while being as general as you can be to meet the like the scenarios of most problems, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, people, like, a lot of black folk don't even know how a bill becomes a law, and we supposed to say that we supposed to say we should have like reparations by now, when we should know like how difficult it is to pass some sort of legislation such as that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from all this. And that's just, and like I said, that's just the whole, conversation surrounding reparations. But like there's a whole nother side of our conversation regarding what do we get for our vote. And a lot of people are saying nothing. And I'm willing to argue against that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to take a break to see if we got any messages a bit. So, what up, Kane? Yeah, Cybers, anti-blackness. Oh, my bad. Cybers. Can I ally with blackness? If they actually had to caucus with other parties. Oh, sorry. Hold on. What you got going here? If they actually had to caucus with other parties, things would be a lot different, maybe. Dang, I wish I'd have saw this as you said it. I would have been able to respond directly to exactly what you're referring to. But yeah, you said if they actually had to caucus with other parties, things would be a lot different, maybe. Yeah, I do. But if you're talking about us forming coalition groups with other, as you put it, caucuses, yeah, official caucuses. Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah. I think it just depends on, because all this is a big popularity contest. That's what politics is. Always has been that. If we were to join and function with other caucuses, there would be a large possibility of watering down of the things that we wanted, right? Like or there would have to be some sort of corrective measures over the things that the other caucuses don't like about our caucus. But if nothing else, there still would have been some progress made. And to be honest with you, that's how politics has been running this entire time. That's how the Democrat, that's what happens on the Senate floor, the House of Representatives floor all the time anyway. So, but to use that framework, to use that understanding and apply it to the caucuses, for sure, things would have been different. But like, I think people would have been concerned about the outcomes and how effective the outcomes would have been. And depending on the caucus that we're allied with entirely, depending on the caucus that we be allied with, can I guess change. It can like steer the trajectory of our collective success as American freedmen. So one thing that you had said just earlier, you had said you can't ally with anti-blackness, and that's a perfect example. We cannot, and mind you, there has been efforts from prolific black voices that try to find some sort of common ground with like subversive groups or extremist groups such as the Klan and other white extremist groups. And it just wasn't successful, right? And arguably they would have been detrimental. They would have been detrimental to us as a people, in my humblest opinion. But that aside, yes, allying with adversarial caucuses will 1,000% destroy us, one tenfold. I think you would agree with that. The other thing you said here is they're not doing more. I don't know what you were referring to, unfortunately. You also said the problem is if you don't have a trifecta like Baltimore, people will infiltrate and make things impossible. Oh yeah. The infiltration. Oh boy. Yeah. That infiltration part. God damn. Infiltration, I mean, what, COINTELPRO, you know what I'm saying? That's what took down the Black Panther Party. So, yeah, that can absolutely destroy us. But that, I would put that more so on the group, on the caucus itself. If we, still keeping, still carrying on the conversation regarding caucuses, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there needs to be a very strong vetting process regarding the caucuses, 1,000%. Oh boy, what would that look like? What makes a strong? How would you vet correctly? Because it's like talking to talk is easy, walking to walk is another thing. Man, it's pretty funny because a lot of this stuff kind of ties over into like relationships. Like, I guess a good place to start, and I don't want to have this conversation today per se, but I think a good place to start is like looking at relationships. How do you judge the person? How do you judge like if a person is good for you or not? How do you know if they are a good relationship partner for you? Do you even know enough about yourself to know what type of person you need? Right? Because like, and then can you even separate your needs from your wants? Can you compromise on your wants and be cool with just having your needs? Can you even access the person? Does the person that you need and want even exist? There's a whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot to do with. There's a whole lot going on there, but a lot of that bleeds over into politics. I'm sorry, that idea can be seen in politics as well. You know what I'm saying? If you have some needs and wants that you want, and you can make it make sense and all in the whole nine. You can make all those things happen, but it's not available. It's impossible to create that sort of thing. Then it's just gonna be tough for a politician to agree to those type of terms. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot of shit going on. But just going back to the conversation, just going back to the topic we were just having regarding like subversion and infiltration, stuff like that. Yes, we got to come up. These caucuses, rather, we need to come up with a very strict and consistent vetting process, because a lot of people will argue that other caucuses have a mission statement that is to do with their specific caucus groups, right? Whereas the Congressional Black Caucus wants to help everybody. And I don't know how else to really put this. And I think, and a lot of people would have a problem with that, basically. So, and then, like I said, then we have individuals that are saying, hey, no reparation, no vote. You know what I'm saying? No times was no vote. But I mean, at times was just too vague of a term, and it doesn't really mean anything. If you, or what I mean by it is, yes, it means tangibles, but like, again, in politics, these people need to be able to craft bills, and they need to be able to craft something. They have to be able to justify, they'll have to argue the justification of these individual bills. And if the only thing you're saying is no chance was no vote, you can't make a bill out of that. Like, it will be rejected in the committee. The committees were rejected in this outright because there's no meat to it, But yeah, so that is sad, man. Politics is just not it's not as simple as asking for shit and just getting it or not getting it. What I'm getting at is it's literally a battle of attrition, and the battleground is the warriors are the debaters. If you can't make it happen on the debate stage, if you can't, the debate stage being the Congress floor, then I don't know what else to tell you. Your bill's not going to pass. So I'm kind of gonna fire off like what we know about I'm sorry. I'm gonna kind of fireball or spitfire what we kind of talked about up to this point, and I'm kind of gonna have to go ahead and close out because I do have other matters I got to attend to. But pretty much boils down to this. understanding everybody as an individual, everybody. But we're speaking to Black Americans right now, American freedmen. We all individually need to understand what we identify as. Everything that we identify as, American, Black American, American freedmen. You want to call yourself FBA? That's fine. You also identify by your job description. You identify by where you stay, like your community, as far as local government, as far as like town, district, states, all of those things, and whom all influences those individual things. All of those things, you have to know who represents you, right? But once you've completely identified yourself, you know what? I have a better way of explaining this. This is a homework for everybody. This is a call to action, if you will. And I'm gonna and this is gonna be a little choppy this time, but I'm gonna make a video out of it, and this will be a lot more clean for everybody to be able to engage with properly. First thing we need to do as individuals is I got a better idea. I've been wanting to do this all day anyway. Okay. Oops. Okay. So we got my whiteboard right here. Where's my okay, great. It works. I always say if you coach a black man, don't ever forget it. So, and we're not even gonna disrespect, we're gonna split it up top. Save your culture, black man. And this is how you do that. First thing you need to do. Okay, hopefully y'all can hear me well. Hold on a second. Okay, great. First thing you need to do, number one, you have to identify yourself. Identify yourself. We are not only just FBA. Okay, there's more to all of us than just FBA. All right. So that will require us to acknowledge our lineage. And that's how how our lineage is classified. Congress and government, and law rather. I'm probably gonna have to. I'm probably gonna have to. If this don't work out, I'm gonna have to do it all over again in a PowerPoint because I think I'm running out of time. I think I'm gonna run out of space. But we'll see what happens. Identify. So there's lineage. There's profession. What else? So lineage, profession, and how it's classified in law. What else is there regarding identity? And by throwing the chat, man, how else would you identify yourself as? Nationality, right? And nationality can be subdefined and where you preside in regarding city, district, and country, right? District, states and country of origin to be exact. Actually, my bad. County and country. Okay, great. So yeah, I think that's good, and it pretty much however which way. But yeah, profession and nationality is like two the bigger things that that government can essentially influence. So two. My bad. Let's say religious background. Yeah, y'all know what I mean by that. Even though there is a thing about separating church from state, but like that sort of thing can kind of align you with other groups that have a vested interest in your political affiliations, right, or the policies that you support. After you identify yourself, you have to speak to politicians as close to the grassroots level as possible. Well, we go with that. I want to say I want to see you engage with as many as you can, but like you want to engage with individual politicians. And what you're gonna do with that is you're gonna take your identity. My bad. No. My bad. Hold on. Let me correct that. The second thing you're gonna do. My bad. You're gonna This is the first time I'm doing this lesson, by the way. So just bear with me. The second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna create. You're gonna identify all your policy positions. You're going to identify your policy positions. Not only that, you will also order them from most important to least important, from top to bottom, most important to least important. So after that, 3, you will structure. I mean, you will connect with politicians that are hopeful politicians. We're talking every like branch of every facet of government, like from that represent us. I mean, really just freaking everything. Like you go to Google, right, and then find out everything you can vote for in terms of government, and then you want a person there that represents you. I mean, what I want to say is, hold on. I mean, that actually is right. For every job description on the government, you want somebody there that represents. That reflects your policy positions, right? They support your policy positions, and they, for the most part, as close as you can get, at the very least, right? Order your policy positions from important. Damn, I can't put this in words. This is what I'm trying to say. You want everybody within the confines of government to be able to reflect not just your policy positions, but also the order of which you've placed them in, at least to the best possible, best possible effect, what's most available, essentially. So mind you, there is some positions that we cannot influence, like committee members in Congress. Those are committee members are placed in by the I think it's the House Speaker, I believe. let me verify that real quick. I'm pretty sure it's the House Speaker is who appoints committee members. Okay. So I'm asking, does the House Speaker appoint committee members? Yes, the Speaker of the House plays a major role in appointing committee members. A major role. Although the process varies by committee and type, the Speaker directly appoints members to select and special committees, and crucially selects all major party members for the powerful Rules Committee. Okay, great. So yeah, so I was right about that. So yeah, you connect with you want people of all political, job descriptions, to identify with your policy position, whatever. So yeah, like I said, so you're connecting with hopeful politicians, and you are essentially running a deal between yourself and that politician. Negotiate with the politician. So what that means is negotiating, and for negotiating for dummies is, hey, I want these 5 things, okay? And if you give me these 5 things, I'll vote for you, okay? And then the politician is gonna go like, okay, well, I can't give you all 5 things, but I can give you 3 of those things. If you vote for me, I'll give you 3 of these things. And you be like, I'll think about it. You know what I'm saying? And then once, and then maybe you, so then the politician says, okay, in the event that you say yes, please have a conversation with your friends and your family and everybody you can touch, everybody you have a monicum of influence over. Please talk to them about these 3 things. I can promise you, as a voter or a resident of Chicago, if you will, talk to those people about it, and then if I get in office, I'll make sure these 3 things happen. So then you go like, okay, whatever, fine. You go off, talk to your friends, and then y'all get the guy in office, and then magic happens, whatever. And if you want more of an explanation of that, you can just rewind this to the beginning of the stream, and I spoke a lot about this earlier in the conversation. So you negotiate with the politician, and you negotiate with the politician, and then you also tell your friends, tell your people, peoples, right? So 4, what comes out of this, huh? You connect with your politicians, and then you tell your peoples, and then that's when things can kind of like fluctuate, and that's when like the randomness of it what happens after that completely is dependent on if your politician got in office or not. It depends on if he got in office or not, or somebody that may not promise the thing that you ask, but they at the very least will attain a defensive position regarding this. So I'll go as far as say this regarding the negotiation phase. A part of the negotiation is going to be not just you getting them to agree to your terms, but if they cannot help you get those things passed, you need to ask them, okay, will you have at the very least affirm a defensive position if somebody were to propose the opposite of this claim? So here's the perfect example in case anybody's confused. Reparations. For everybody here that cares about reparations, okay, you'd understand that HR 40 has been sitting in a committee box since the late 80s. Okay. And very recently, and I mean, just for clarity, not all Democrats are supportive of HR 40, like obviously, but all the Republicans are not supportive of HR 40, and we'll go with that. But again, it has not reached the House or Senate floor for voting at all. So just keep that in mind as well. But again, no Republican supports it. That aside, now on the flip side, there's a bill that's been presented called HR 2100. HR 2100 is basically it makes it unlawful for a government to give money to any individual state or city to create restitution for slavery and other type of disparities. Okay, that's what HR 2100 is targeting. So that is the very antithesis of HR 40. Okay, so you can go like, hey, if you're not able to give me reparations, right? Can you at the very least stop Republicans from passing HR 2100? And then that politician will be like, okay, you know what? I won't be able to give you reparations, but I'll stop them from passing HR 2100. So that's not a complete win, but it's somewhere in the gray area. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what reality is. You feel me? It's gray area type shit. It's not black and white. It's gray area as fuck. That aside. So yeah, you negotiate with the politician, and again, at the last level, depending on who wins, kind of dictates who how things is kind of gonna go for your politician. So we're gonna say, we don't know, right? So 5, we're gonna talk about the success rate. Shout out to Paranomics. Shout out to Powernomics. I'm sorry. Well, hold on. Let me do that right, because this is going to be a video. Shout out to Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. Very great book. Please read it through and through. Some people say it's a little bit old and its strategies is a bit outdated, but there's still a lot of arguments here that are very necessary for the collective upliftment for Black Americans. And if nothing else, you will understand how ethno-aggregation is supposed to look like by looking at Powernomics, the National Plan to Power Black America, again, by Dr. Claude Anderson. So, now, yeah, that's those are people I need to call. Holy crap. I think they opened that. Okay, right, back to this. 5. Okay, so depending on the success of your politician, is going to create outcomes or whatever. So but overall, what can kind of encompass all like possible outcomes is you vote out bad politicians. If you have a problem with the Congressional Black Caucus, okay? If you have a problem with the Congressional Black Caucus not specifically bending to the whim or capitulating to the demands of American freedmen or FBA or however you want to identify yourselves as, or however you want the Congressional Black Caucus to capitulate to, you need to understand that these people have been in office for an extremely long time. And if you have a problem with them, you are supposed to vote them out. It's not just about the Democrats not doing what's necessary for Black Americans. It's the fact that the individual politicians themselves are the ones to blame. So you vote out the bad apples amongst the crop. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because if that happens, we will get Donald Trump in Project 2025 for the rest of our damn lives. If we're so concerned about black wealth reducing to 0%, and by 2053, you will expedite that fucking process by allowing the wrong politicians that will go completely against your demands and for the demands that push you under the fucking bus. Okay, you allow Project 2025 to go through. You allow a Republican Party to continue with this with this circus of a political showing, then guess what's going to happen? That 2053 cutoff point is going to reduce to 5 fucking years. It's going to reduce way shorter than that 2053. We will not have anywhere close to that 2053 time frame. And as far as I'm concerned, hey, I want to give my people as much time to fight as humanly possible. If we have to vote Democrat, if we do the exact same thing in every regard regarding from ranging from finance to political strategies, and we get and everything falls apart at 2053, at least we made it to fucking for 2053, nigga. At least we fucking made it. Because if we were to completely disengage from politics, I'm not saying it's a 100% fact, okay? But the likelihood of us accelerating that 2053 number is gonna be it's gonna happen. It has a higher likelihood of happening. And I get it. Some people are just trying to say, oh, well, if we tell the Democrats this is what we need for our vote, and we won't vote until you meet these demands, nigga, I got you. I hear what you're saying, but there's still a possibility of that fucking not happening. There's still a possibility of these Democrats saying, okay, since these niggas not gonna vote, we might as well meet the demands of actual voters. And I mean, if there's an argument against that, I guess I gotta hear it. I gotta hear a convincing argument that's gonna guarantee that these that's going to guarantee that these Democrats will 100% bend the knee to black demands, especially for something that's very difficult to pass, such as reparations. Okay. I'm just trying to help people understand that they're not one-issue voters. None of you are one-issue voters because most you all identify by many different things. You can be a black person and a gamer, and that's it. That's it. I bet you, if your government came to the conclusion that it needs to push all the computer chips and push them into these AI data centers and stuff like that, that's going to affect you, my nigga. That's going to be you that affects. Why? Because the price of the demand is going to go up for these computer parts, and those computer parts are necessary to create these video game consoles. And even if you want to be a PC gamer, it's going to severely impact the accessibility to those computer parts, severely driving up those prices. That shit already fucking happened, mind you. It already fucking happened. That's why the RAM prices went up, the graphics card prices went up, a bunch of shit went up because these data centers. And if there's gonna be a politician that's gonna be instrumental towards if there's gonna be a politician that is going to that has influence on what happens regarding how they tax those computer parts and how those computer parts are gonna be deferred and stuff like that. And I don't know what to say. You might do want to vote for the guy that's like, hey, we need to keep some computer parts to the side to keep down the price. It's like we should instead of leaving 100% of the computer parts to the free market so that these billionaire class individuals buy up all these computer parts and give it to whatever, I mean, Meta or whatever like that, so to fund their AI machine or whatever like that. What are we talking about? It sound like that person will be the best politician for you, even though you're a black person also. So I think you understand how voting for things that are outside of just your nationality group can affect your outcomes. Now, again, I'm not saying this to say, okay, we all got to just be like, we got to throw away our nationality, throw away our FBA lineage and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in order to completely engage in politics the right way, you have to understand how politics affects your life. And if you understand that you are more than just a black person, you are more than just American freedman, more than just the FBA, you understand that politics affects more than, this is just facts. You know what I'm saying? It's literally just facts, because at the end of the day, right, your access to wealth is kind of dependent on how your tax is going to go. It is dependent on how these resources are allocated. It is dependent on even more specifically, what all is set aside to make accessible for your black ass? Because there's a difference between leaving everything to the free market and things being made available to more black Americans, or which, by offset, the proletariat. Which is actually another good point, because even though these things don't specifically target, black Americans' pockets, this is how it's gonna affect you. If politicians keep coming in and making decisions that are to the detriment of the proletariat and your pockets, that means your money is going to be drained. Your wallet is going to be drained faster. Does that not make sense to anybody? Because I don't want anybody to jump in the comment section and call me anti-black because, he's saying we got to throw away the reparations fight. I'm not saying throw away the reparations fight. What I'm saying is consider everything else to do with politics as well and understand how that affects your life. Health fucking care. Healthcare is hugely being attacked by the Republican Party right now and Project 2025. If you don't think black people are being negatively affected by healthcare, you are a complete buffoon. Okay, so understand which party is advocating for the success or for the access of healthcare, and understand which party is not just not advocating for that, but actually working to the actual opposite of that. Okay. So yeah, don't be a one issue vote. That shit crazy to me. That aside, you vote out bad politicians. This can be the people you voted in, politicians you voted in, and politicians you didn't vote in. Well, we can just do this. Those people got to go. If we don't make this, if we want to turn this to a one issue voter type of mentality perspective, there's gonna be politicians that are trying to pass HR 40, and then there's those that are not trying to pass HR 40, and then there's those that are trying to pass HR 2100. AKA the bill that's supposed to counter slavery reparations. Okay, within the confines of the federal government. How do I put this? How the fuck do I put this? Once you do this, once you vote out the bad politicians and you and we gotta do this too, and vouch for the politicians that are pro-black or freedom. I would argue to say by extension, proletariat. Yeah. So vouch for those individuals, and vouching is a long process in itself. Please learn how to vouch. Please learn how to say this is what my politician did, and this is how it affects your life. Essentially, and that requires you to know the people that you're talking to, and you have to tell them, you have to show them how this politician and these policies, the individual policies, benefited their lives, right? And this goes back into the tell your peoples, because telling your peoples is vague terminology I'm using, but it literally it means that you're telling them you're appealing to their interests, and you're showing them how the policies that you care about, how it impacts their lives, and then so that they will start agreeing to the policies themselves, right? So they'll start, okay, you know what? I do support this policy. I do like this policy. How do we get this policy going? Okay, well, I got a politician just for that. The politician that's promising just that. This is how we're supposed to be engaged in politics for the past 60 years. Okay. Once we vouch for the policies that are nice, right? And we vote out the policies that are not nice. Okay. That's when we become successful. That's when we become successful. Success. And then the last step is going to be maintaining. But I don't want to get into like these last categories today. I gave y'all enough already. What I will say is I want this to be y'all homework. This is the call to action, okay? I want this. So your homework is, number 1, identify yourself. That can be your lineage, and you have to know how that's classified in law. You identify by your profession. You identify by your nationality. You identify. Wait a minute. Oh, you identify by your religion. Handwriting is bad. Okay, let me do that again. You identify by your profession. You identify by your nationality, which is connected to the city, your district, your state, your county, and your country. You have to understand all of those. You have to understand your nationality from the local level to the majority level. Hell, when aliens head over here, we gotta identify as Earthers, okay? So just maybe I could put a planet, next to under nationality, but nationality, whatever, and religion. Once we've identified ourselves, right, we have to identify our policy positions. We identify our policy positions by understanding how politics intertwine with each of these ways we identify ourselves. Okay. So that's number 2. That's homework number 2. You have to do it. Please do that shit. And then you have to order them from most important to least. And it don't matter how long that list is. That list can be 3 pages. You better write that shit out. My list might be 7 pages for how critical I like to think. But yeah, that's number 2. That's your homework. That's your second assignment for your homework, right? Number 3, connect with hopeful politicians. Wait. I'm tweaking. Well, yeah, that's your homework, right? That's your homework for right now. But how this is going to help you, okay? These first 2 items, doing this homework, how this is going to help you is going to help you in negotiating with your politicians that are representative of your cities or district or state or county or country or planet, apparently, right? And then you would definitely have to use this to tell your peoples, as in negotiate with your friends and family members and et cetera, as far as why the policies that you support benefits them, and then what politicians support those policies, and maybe even throw in the order in as well if you really want to have that conversation. 4 is magic, it's like jokes aside, 4 is going to be, how does this work? Or no, I'm sorry. 4 is going to be how the elections went. Did they win? Did your politician win? Did your politician lose? Et cetera, and there's different levels to that, right? So it's primarily dictated on which of these which of the politicians you are having conversations with, whatever. And then number 5 is going to be vote out bad politicians. And bad politicians, I spelled bad wrong. Vote out bad politicians. Okay, yeah. Vote out bad politicians, and that can be anybody ranging from people that did not capitulate to your demands, right? Or made false promises, or or like primarily those 2 things. Or maybe like flat out flipped, you know what I'm saying? Went to was like one of those dinos, like a Democrat in name only. You feel me? So hold on, let me say politicians you voted in or out. Okay, so yeah, and also, obviously that's not limited to the politicians that you voted for. Obviously, you got to vote out politicians that are problematic as well that you didn't vote for. Like any bad politician, again, they got to go. Vouch for the politicians that are not pro freedmen or again by extension pro proletariat. What else? What else is there to say? It's pretty self-explanatory. If they go in there and again, if they're not meeting their demands, I mean, if they're not meeting the promises that they set and the other things that I mentioned, they trash. And if they are actively working against the collective upliftment of freedmen and even the proletariat, they got to go. Simple as that. 6, like I said, success. If we do all these things, we'll be successful. And then we can party and have a great time and de-stress, at the very least briefly. And then 7 is we have to get back on focus, and then we have to maintain what we created. That's going to be through education. It's going to be through consistent alterations between step 3, 4, and 5, like things to that nature. And then if we can kind of manifest this for an extended period of time, we'll actually start closing that web gap. I'll catch you on the flip side. It's been Hard Thinking, the Chicago Black Delegation Podcast. We'll catch you on the flip side. Well, hold on. Let me just make sure there's no, I forgot. Let me just make sure there's no comments and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, no comments. All right, but yeah, I'll catch you on the flip side, man.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath.
Let's see what's on TV.
As the king's brother, you should have been first in line.
Well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born.
That hairball is my son.
Is that what you were trying to get to?
Trying to get.
You bite the fry bites back, my man. Damn, crispy crunch.
Let me put my mind on something that'll motivate me to manifest.